first and foremost, thank you for being with me, and it's great to be speaking with you again. The key thing that we do is making the industry realize that all of us play an essential role in keeping the uptime of mobility. Many times, the aftermarket is differently understood by the people in terms of its role in the transformation of mobility. But mobility will continue. Our expectations for better mobility will continue, and making sure that together we keep inventing ways to maximize mobility uptime, I think, is what unites us, and where we strive for ZF Aftermarket to help our customers in their mission to provide the uptime of mobility. And you're using the word ecosystem rightfully, because in the end, you can use the value proposition, one benefits to the other one, and et cetera. It's a circle. It's not linear, it's a circle. So helping workshops in terms of our digital solutions like Pro Manager, Pro Diagnostics, Remote Diagnostics, helps them to better connect with the fleets. Because the more the fleets get professionalized, the more potentially there is a mismatch between the ability of the independent aftermarket workshop to provide that very high service level that a fleet needs, in particular in the world of a connected software-defined vehicle. So likewise for the fleets, I think the core value proposition we have always provided to fleets was a network of workshop that is equipped in terms of providing what they need, which is keep driving. And both need the fast delivery from the distributors that have trusted full range of parts. So we must provide through our distributors the full range of technologies and et cetera, but also providing the ability to bring the digital solutions to workshop and fleet so they can expand their revenue models and they can be integrated in the complete digitized value chain. It's a very complex question. I think I can expand on that for the whole day. It's number one, I would like to come back to your reflection on downtime versus uptime, because I would like to use this as a bridge to your second question. It is true that the monetization of today often relates to downtime. And the services, or what made the success of distributors, workshop, and fleet was who can bring the vehicle up as fast as possible. So people that could bring the vehicle up as fast as possible are the people that were winning in terms of business. But it's also an illustration of focusing uptime, making people realize that the revenue models, the service models will evolve. With an increased amount of ADAS, there will be less collision. With the electrified vehicle, you have less, well, you don't have the wear and tear parts of the powertrain of the combustion engine. The general consciousness that through better quality parts, through better preventive maintenance, parts can last longer. So the whole effort of the aftermarket is going to ensuring longer life of the vehicles, making sure that you can not only make sure you don't have those downtime situations, but also for our partners that their monetization can be profitable and successful, even if the vehicle is not down. Yeah. So I think this is the reflection that applies to your question on how do we face the electrification, how do we face software-defined vehicle, how do we face connectivity, is making sure the independent aftermarket is equipped, first of all, to be able to continue their mission of enabling their support to the mobility industry. And number two, as business professionals, being confident that they can have profitable business growth. ZF has a clear strategy to strengthen its strength, and through, of course, a lot of internal communication and feedback from the market, we have realized the aftermarket is a core strength. So it is, we have solidly anchored through the overall ZF strategy that beyond strengthening a number one position in the vehicle motion control chassis solutions for passenger car, beyond having a number one position in commercial vehicles and also high strengths in the industrial applications, being leaders within the aftermarket is also a core strength that ZF has in its strategy. So that's the first, I think, question I understood. The second one is, how did we make it happen? When you're looking into the last 20 years of ZF, there have been successive acquisitions that were having strategic fit. By adding Zaxxon further, or by having TRW, by adding WAPCO, not only we have expanded the range, but we have mixed cultures and strategic strength. So by bringing everything under one roof, it meant high internal efforts, of course, to bring everything under one roof. But this is, I'm happy that you say you feel the impact in the market. Is we have looked not only from a portfolio perspective how all of that complements each other, but also taking the human strength that everybody had in terms of one coming with very good distribution strategy, the other one coming with very good diagnostics focus, the other one having a high focus on fleets. And how can everybody learn from each other? Typically now we organize through our business line, passenger car, commercial vehicle, industrial applications, but you have similar categories. So the passenger car aftermarket have broader impact in terms of its distribution, marketing, proximity to the consumer. The commercial vehicle has higher strength and fleet focus. I think a higher adoption of mechatronics in a lot of the independent aftermarket uses. And this push and pull and combining the strength, I think is what has allowed us already some years ago to say this is what we want to do. Second step, let's do it. And what you see the difference this year compared to two years ago, it's the result of the strong focus on execution we had in the year to come. We see it as an enabler of making sure that the independent aftermarket is able to cope with the future, with new kind of functionalities. And this is a thing where we must realize that the different regions have different realities. And you heard me often say it, we need to be locally rooted, globally connected. It's in particular applicable for the diagnostics. We will not have exactly the same solutions in every continent because the maturity and the reality are different. It will not be possible to have an independent aftermarket repair of a vehicle without the access to the parameterization, to the calibration, to just confirming that the software is valid. So it is a prerequisite to even have the vehicle coming in and coming out of your workshop, even if it's for a very mechanical change. And then we must understand that the world will, you have the OE solutions that will keep a certain captivity, that the market has always been driven by choices, options. So you look for always an alternative, but in the world of connected software we know the increase of cybersecurity risks, you cannot really go to the other extreme of leaving it to bootleggers. So ZF had this core competence of being software provider to the OEMs. We have our own application that we can look into origin diagnostic solution, but we understand that we must package it into holistic multi-brand platforms. Now, the platform and the engineering capabilities that we have are global, but we must regionalize its use in order to fit the vehicle park. And in particular in India, I think one of the areas that grows faster than in other parts of the world is, for example, the connected buses through the relationship we have through Volvo Asia, for example, that we work together. But where probably we need to accelerate is the professionalization of the workshops in terms of interacting with such vehicles. I think what I was really impressed last time we met in Delhi was how even from a ministry perspective, there was an understanding that the aftermarket was key for the acceptance of the new technologies. Already to have that awareness, I think is very positive. That the people understand new technologies will not hit the road if there's not a strong market in order to enable those technologies. And it's probably pioneering compared to markets which are used of having the network ready for the new vehicles. They kind of just say, hey, now let's monetize it. So on that perspective, even if you say all the markets have the same trends, they start from a completely different starting point and give a different priority. So I think India has a clear, I think, national understanding that there's an evolution needed, and you see it through the very fast growth in infrastructures that we've seen after all the legislations implemented in, pre-COVID and where you saw the impact post-COVID. And you will see it as well with the population and the commercial and the business going for heavier classes, heavier weights. What used to be carried through light trucks, you go through heavier trucks. For what you used to do when it was the three-wheelers, you go to four-wheelers. And every time that you go through better streets and bigger vehicles, you usually also have faster speeds. Faster speed with heavier weight means higher requirements in terms of safety and for quality products. And I think this is where we're going to see opportunities for us in terms of a growing aftermarket. Leveraging, I think, a very strong network that we grew in particular in the commercial vehicle world, but also through the brands, proximity that we have in the passenger car. And like everything else we do, how do we create the synergies through all of that to a company with an Indian mindset, leveraging all our global best practices? The good thing is we're present everywhere, which number one, I think it is important for a company like us to be able to not have a white spot in terms of market understanding. It allows us to better understand the different market needs. It allows us to better anticipate the innovations that can make us competitive. It allows us to better watch regional competition and make sure we have an edge everywhere. When you're looking into the revenues, clearly, yes, it's true that Europe is a heavyweight. Why? Because we started earlier, because there's higher content per vehicle, and because there's a realization, probably a higher realization in other parts of the world of the importance of having the trusted brands. What does it mean to rely on, Sachs, Lumferder, TRW, WAPCO, ZF, compared to you don't necessarily know. It leaves us a lot of opportunities everywhere else because, yes, indeed, all the other regions, North America, South America, Asia, India, Middle East and Africa, we're also very strongly rooted. If you're looking into commercial vehicles, our focus to ensure the uptime of fleets, forces us to be in all of those markets in a high strength. In passenger car, it's the accompanying as well, the consumer, the globalization of the customer choices, where we have also accompanied the different brands across the world. But in terms of growth opportunities, I would say all the regions present the same opportunities, because from a higher base, Europe can still grow. From the markets that are developed like North America, but where you see penetration perspective, it's also very interesting. Middle East, Africa, India, China present just economic growth markets that we want to support. So I think we're very bullish about the ability to exploit differently the different regions of the world. Number one, let's speak about the products on the vehicle. On the vehicle, we can focus on three kind of elements, but always cutting across passenger car and commercial vehicle, or I would say across vehicle classes. Chassis parts. I mentioned we have this unique ability to brake, steer, and suspend. So the whole chassis parts across, for mechanic conventional technologies and the latest technologies in terms of software-defined vehicle across vehicle classes, number one. Number two is the transition of powertrain. We were very strong, on the transmission, on the clutches. we also have the hybrid and the e-mobility strategies, and here is helping the market to navigate the transition that will last very long time through preventive maintenance, through fluids, through repair kits, through remanufacturing, and through ensuring end-of-life production. The third is everything related to ADAS and computers and high-performing computers, where we bring to the independent aftermarket the realization that you can monetize beyond hardware, which will be important for monetizing the future of mobility, software upgrades, calibration, etc. That's on vehicle, across the different vehicle class, and then you need to bring solutions for the workshops. And the different digital solution we have for the workshop enable the repairability of the new vehicle, the connectivity, but also enable better collaboration across. I think that the gap that needs to be filled, I would put it twofold. Number one on the vehicle is the regionalization of the makes. So I think accompanying better, for example, Indian vehicles across all of those technologies. So we can be very solid, let's say, on the European range, we can be very solid, let's say, on the Brazilian range, but we also need to be very solid on the Indian range. So there's always something to fill, not necessarily from a product type, but from accompanying the vehicle park. Number one, and number two, I would say, is in the communication, in the trust, in the change management of distributors, workshop, and fleets in adopting the solutions, in order to really see, I think the collaboration is the ingredient for success, is the threat to not progressing. So I think it's very important that together as an industry, we understand that the choices we make in every transaction are the ones that allow us to progress towards a better mobility uptime.